Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to usual things in the US that confuse non-Americans. I guess these sorts of things will be day-to-day things that people get up to. I don't know if there's going to be like specific activities or just general things that are more common in the US, or things that don't happen in a lot of other countries that, as the title says, confuse non-Americans. But we're going to see. Let me just hover over the first one. Denmark. Wait, what? Usual things in the US that confuse... Wait, so they're going country to country. Okay, I don't know. We're going to just jump into this. Hopefully you're going to enjoy. Hopefully you're all doing well. And yeah, let's jump into this reaction.
In some ways, the United States is a whole different world. Totally different from every other place. So let's take a look at what's normal there that baffles people from the outside. One of the first things a foreigner notices when entering the country is flags. American flags everywhere.
What was that other flag? Is that a state flag?
On buildings, like schools and houses. And on clothes, like shorts, t-shirts, you name it.
The clothes one for sure, but to be fair, I feel like the clothes one is something that's quite comparable with the UK as well, or the British flag. That's something that you do get in the UK quite a lot, British flags on like clothing. It's the flags in general that you don't really find here.
Throughout history, Americans have changed 27 flags. The current American flag was only adopted in 1960 and is so far the longest-lasting flag of the country.
Damn.
It wasn't created by the authorities, though. In 1958, there was a contest for a design of the new American flag, and the winning flag was made by a 17-year-old high school student from Ohio.
Did he get paid for that? I mean, I guess maybe the thing that he's going to take from this the most is like just the fact that he made the US flag. But is there money involved? I mean, maybe they're going to say now.
The reason why American...
Wait, what was the name? Robert Heft. Robert. Oh, Heft. Let's just search that. Did Robert Heft get paid for creating the US flag? Oh, he's 17 as in school. There's no money in that. I mean, hey, it's still a pretty cool flex. Imagine you've got that to tell like your friends, you make friends, you go into parties and stuff, and that's the story you've got. It's pretty cool. But yeah, no money. That's an interesting backstory.
The reason why Americans love their flag so much is national pride. But why not so many countries do the same? Well, some countries avoid displaying them for historical reasons. Other countries only raise the flag on special occasions to highlight the importance of the event. Still, some countries display their flag as often as Americans do.
Really?
In Denmark, people are quite proud of their flag too.
Damn.
They decorate the winter holiday tree and birthday cakes with them. And you can always find stickers with Danish flags, red and white candles, and other goodies with the flag in a grocery store.
I feel like someone like Brazil would also be like this as well. They would have the flag everywhere. I feel like Brazilians are like one of the countries where such a high population, or such a high proportion of the population, they just love their country. The national pride is very high. So I assume someone like Brazil is probably quite comparable as well.
People in Sweden are also very much into their flag and have flagpoles everywhere. Now, let's go to a restaurant, shall we? Many things there are very specific to the States. Like, for example, tons of ice in every drink. Turns out there is some history to this preference. America has always had a lot of ice as a resource, since New England's lakes and rivers have a lot of those during winter. Centuries ago, before refrigerators and other helpful cooling machines, that kind of cold resource was very valuable, and the States started exporting ice to other parts of the world. And also, of course,
how would you maintain the ice though when transporting it?
Consuming it themselves. They started to put ice in their hot drinks, in contrast to the British, who were always drinking their beverages hot.
Yeah.
The ice in the drinks has become an American thing, and it was also considered a rich person's drink.
What?
Yep, the ice would...
Oh, I guess because ice was so expensive to transport.
Also show a person's status. Of course, with time, when refrigerators appeared, ice became available to everyone, and Americans started to add it to their drinks commonly. The habit remained, but also ice drinks are very refreshing, which is especially important in the hot south of the country. But if you come from abroad and don't want your drink freezing cold, always specify it to the waiter. The next striking thing is,
especially in the winter, having a cold drink in the winter is not for me. Like a cold Coke, like in 5-degree temperature, it's not it for me. But in the US, it makes sense because so many regions stay so warm throughout the whole year and get very warm at specific points as well. So understandable. Because in the summer here, we don't have very warm summers, but it's still nice to have a cold drink, you know?
the huge portions that are served, and there is a reason for that too. It wasn't always like this, but in the second half of the last century, due to pesticides and fertilizers, farmers started to be able to grow more food than they used to. The government caught on, subsidizing them to grow even more food. So the amount of available food increased. Over time, companies started to increase the sizes of their portions. Why serve less food and get less money if you can serve a bit more and also charge more?
There you go.
That's good for business, and it's a win-win. Customers get more food for just a little bit more money. So, larger portions stuck. Okay, now we need to take a little toilet break. And, surprisingly, there are
Why are we in the girls' toilet?
a lot of foreigners who find American toilets weird. First, what's up with those huge gaps in bathroom stalls? Let's start with a more obvious.
Nah, I mean, I feel like the gaps in the US are bigger than this as well. No? In public toilets, I feel like they're a bit higher than this. Because in the UK, you get certain toilets in public toilets that are they're probably similar to this, maybe a little bit lower. But this is quite comparable to some toilets, I feel like, in the UK. But then a lot of other ones are enclosed and you can't see, or they're fully just shut. I've seen ones that are a lot higher than this, though.
Part. Gaps on the bottom of the doors.
In
Those
the US.
are quite common, even outside the US, and they serve several purposes.
Oh. It's going to go into the US ones.
First, you can see if there's a person inside without trying to break into an occupied stall. Second,
this does seem very high.
it provides some ventilation and makes it easier to clean the floor in the bathrooms. The gaps on the sides are more questionable. Of course, people on the outside can't see everything going on behind the door, but still, there's not much privacy whatsoever. In most other countries, the gaps are either negligible or non-existent. So what's up with them in America? I did some research. Some sources say that since every inch of material is expensive, wide gaps are made to reduce the costs of bathroom stalls.
Really?
Other sources say that when people feel exposed like this, they have fewer incentives to do something illegal in public bathrooms.
There you go.
Next observation, American toilets have way more water in their bowls in
The splashback must be crazy. I'm sorry, but
comparison to, for example, European ones. The reason is that those types of toilets use different flashing systems, and an American one needs more water to flush effectively. In many countries, especially in Asia, most bathrooms have bidets,
what? In Asia? Is that? I didn't know it was like a common thing in Asia.
which are used for after toilet cleaning, and tourists don't understand why Americans wouldn't adopt those too.
I mean, I don't use them, to be fair.
After all, if you step in mud, you'll go and wash your foot instead of just wiping it off with a tissue. The same logic works here. Also, it reduces toilet paper usage. So it's more sustainable and it's environmentally friendly. Some say there's a strong stigma in America around bidets that is extremely hard to overcome. Others say that toilets in the US don't have enough room to install a bidet. So they don't have those, especially...
I mean, a lot of US houses are massive, so they're probably the houses, or they have the most space possible to actually contain or have one of these in their homes. So I wouldn't say it's the space, because the UK, that could be the argument, because you will have tiny bathrooms or tiny toilets, but I feel like the US houses are so big, you'll get toilets that can hold them, unless he's on about in public, which obviously I guess makes a bit more sense.
if there are other well-known ways. Before we leave the restaurant, we need to tip the waiter. Tipping in the United States is way more common than in most other countries. You're expected to tip any service person who helped you with something. While some kind of tipping exists in some other countries, the extent of it is smaller. And there are also countries like Japan and Denmark where tipping isn't a thing at all. Those countries have minimum wage laws that dictate decent wages employers must pay their workers. This way, the need to pay money to service stuff isn't pushed onto the customers. By the way, here's one more fact about the prices. Probably the craziest thing in the States tourists have to adapt to are prices in stores. The tax isn't included into the displayed price and is added on top while checking out. So people who are short on money can't pre-calculate the price they will have to pay to make sure that they have enough money. But really, why is it so? The main reason behind such a weird policy is transparency. This way, taxpayers know how much tax they pay and can resist raising the tax rate in case it comes on the national agenda. Also, it allows buyers to compare the costs of products across states fairly, since tax rates may differ. So, if the tax isn't included, you compare the actual bread costs between Alabama and Alaska, for example. In some places in America, it's not very easy to get around unless you travel by car. In some regions, there's often no sidewalk taking you to the closest convenience store, or a crosswalk, allowing you to cross the road right in front of the store. The main reason for that is probably the fact that the United States is a big country with vast lands and everything is spread out. Neighborhoods can be scattered around, wide suburban territories quite far away from one another, so that's already far from being walking distance, and sidewalks aren't needed because, yes, no one's walking. Studies show that Spanish or Germans walk at least twice as much as Americans, but in those countries, everything is way closer. And last and not least, you guessed it, the Imperial system.
Oh no.
It's based on the human body. A foot is an average foot size of a person, so you might think it's quite intuitive for anyone. Well, no. Foreigners are incredibly confused with feet, inches, gallons, and Fahrenheits, and tend to convert it all to the familiar metric system.
Fahrenheit's the one that really confuses me. The other ones I feel like I use interchangeably. This one really confuses the hell out of me.
Well, in this sense, the British are even more confusing. Those guys use both imperial and metric systems.
We do.
For height, it's mostly feet and inches, but for weight, kilograms. Great Britain used to have the imperial system, but later they were forced to switch to the metric system. So now they're using a combination. Whatever helps to be more precise.
It's true. It is true. We cannot say anything over here. As a European Swedish, I see nothing wrong with USA. I'd hope not. They put ice so they can put as little other ingredients as possible. I mean, you can say no ice, but it's a good tactic to say no ice if you want to have more of your food, really, isn't it? But yeah, that's his reaction. Let me know your thoughts on this. And yeah, until next time, I subscribe. Peace.